Now, Actual Fandom can use this catchphrase if he wants, but they are gatekeeping.
If you watch the video clip that we uploaded on the Fandom Initiative channel the other day, corresponding with the mission statement, where it's basically just, we talked about how we wish people like Vaush, but like Xander Hall does sometimes, but like they're not, from what I've seen, they haven't covered this stuff. Obviously they know, probably all of them know that this stuff can radicalize people to the right, but I don't know if they realize how intentional and orchestrated and organized it kind of seems like it is.
And you don't want to admit any of those people you just showed can radicalize people to the left. No bad tactics, only bad targets, I guess. There's so many moderate left voices that you could have picked out, but no, you went with those people.
With Landau, he's said that it's this sort of content that actually did radicalize him to the right, and it was then through the discovery of left-wing content creators that he sort of considered his positions a bit more and actually thought about what he thought. So I think he's more prone to cover these sorts of people, and I know his law knowledge goes deep on Gamergate, because I think he was there right in the midst of it. But
yeah, I don't know about that. Was he on the right side then? That's what radicalized him? You could call Xander Hall a grifter because he switched sides because, I don't know, he didn't have enough logic to work on the right or even on the center. He decided to go from the far right to the far left with his brain dead takes. Just switching side, same logic, going after Shoe on Head, hosting freaking Lauren Southern about her children's book and trying to get her on a gotcha. Dude isn't quite as bad as Lance of the Serfs, but frankly, he gives the left a bad name.
Generally, the others, either they are a little bit older than he is, because he was sort of the perfect age demographic for Gamergate as well. But the others, either if they're slightly older or didn't get into YouTube until more recently, or just the sort of people that you talk about on the Fandom Initiative are not the sort of people that they interact with.
Yeah, and so, yeah, like really honestly, there's probably going to be some criticism of Vaush's content, I'm guessing, or of this coverage, but it's not going to be Vaush's fault, if that makes sense. Like,
yes, because you wouldn't dare criticize someone on the left. It has to be someone else's fault, doesn't it, Dane? Because no one on your side can be guilty of radicalizing anyone, can they? Even though that's very apparent, that's what happened to Xander Hall. That's what Vaush tries to do very blatantly. Vaush pretty much comes out, there's no bad tactics, just bad targets.
I really should just lean into it and like just start some drama. Maybe that would like get him to focus on this. I don't know. Seems like that's how that works, honestly. I like, if you just like say everything as shitty as possible, then that will get you, move you up in the algorithm. I don't know.
Yes, how has that been working for you, Dane? I mean, have you just started this tactic now? Or are you just making assumptions like you typically do, not putting any research or any thought into it, just saying whatever you want, put in a video, it's fine. It's your opinion, man. I really think it's a rather weak opinion.
Anyway, but no, it's going to be probably some criticism of just in the sense that you have to be a crazy person who watches this stuff as much as me and Organized Chaos and Turf Nation and stuff. We pay attention to it a lot more, and there's like almost nothing that I would, take it upon myself to challenge Vaush on, to be like, oh, actually, you're not right about that.
Keep this in mind for what he says later.
You don't have a full understanding of this thing. It's not much, but this is probably going to be one of them, I'm thinking. And it's strictly due to he's covering all kinds of shit, whereas I've been covering the same shit for 3 years. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Vaush dumped you. Yeah, I'm not up on the Vaush lore, but I think that's what I heard. But I guess I need to, do the addressing of these things. I used to watch Vaush a lot. I don't really watch him much anymore. Every once in a while, because I really don't watch YouTube at all anymore, unless it's for content that I'm making. But like every once in a while, I'll wake up and I'll turn on YouTube, and I pretty much watch a short video every morning when drinking coffee. If Vaush has a clip up that is something that actually just grabs my interest, I will watch it now and then. Generally, and that's not to say that I'm like denouncing him or whatever. I think he's generally effective and a net positive, and I'll stand behind that. I know that people have their reasons to not like him. I have reasons why I think that, things that I think he could do differently, better on, and I hope that he will someday. But generally, I'd rather him be there than not, considering the things that we're dealing with, considering, the fascism.
Yes, just assume the fascism without proving it, just like Vaush doesn't prove it.
What is absolute fascism in abstract?
Really easy.
It'd be great to get a definition from Vaush. Yeah.
Well, generally, it's considered to be like an ultra right-wing, ultra nationalistic form of like usually like an ethno-nationalist political identity. I prefer Umberto Eco's 14 points, but it gets like really in the weeds. I don't think that fascism is always super consistent with its definition. Well, the reason that I like Umberto Eco's definition so much, the reason why I simp for it so goddamn hard, is because it's very, very sociological. That's the thing that I like about it. Isn't it too broad though? Serious question, no troll. It's only like too broad if you look at it as like if you trigger like one flag, then you're a fascist, which isn't true. It's like diagnostic criteria for mental disorders. Yes.
The problem with what Vaush just said is that the DSM does have a threshold you need to cross for a diagnosis, so it's not applicable to how Vaush uses Eco's definition. It's very convenient that Eco's definition can't be used to make definitive judgments, but you should at the very least be able to get an idea of how fascist something is by looking at these points. So, how much of a fascist is Vaush?
But I've shifted a fair degree away from authoritarianism over the past couple of years.
Just to be clear, my point isn't to prove that Vaush is a fascist. He clearly isn't. However, this is not a functional definition of fascism.
But just go with that baseline assumption that it is fascism. I don't even like the Friday Night Tights crew, Gary of Nerdrotic, Az of Heels vs. Babyface, any of the Geeks or Gamer guys. Mueller and Critical Drinker have their moments. Some of the guests are really bad and some of them are okay. But don't explain how all this is fascist, because you already proven it. I just wish I knew the video where you prove that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to stand by everything the guy's ever said or does say or whatever, and I will point out when he says or does things I don't like.
Like when he demonizes all right-wing people and consider them fascists. But you align with that, don't you?
I don't love that he uses, the R slur so much.
No, that's fair, and I know he's got his own defense for it, but personal preference would be not to use it.
I wonder if this is before or after the ContraPoints video.
Things like death threats or misogynistic insults, I don't support that, and I've called it out in the past. Like when the leftist streamer Vaush, drama alert, who is not trans, tweeted at JK Rowling, "Women be quieter and start apologizing challenge." I called him out, tweeting, "Doing edgy ironic misogyny while defending trans people magnifies the grain of truth in what TERFs say about there being misogyny in trans activism." I tweeted that because I recognize that if people who are claiming to speak for you are doing so in a misogynistic way, and if you let that slide, you're going to wake up one day to find that you're in a misogynistic movement. Of course, Vaush took the criticism really well, explaining that actually, I just didn't understand the complex tactical arguments for the moral necessity of being misogynistic to JK Rowling. And then he accused me of cancel culturing him while at the same time literally telling his followers to publicly shame me.
The more viewer in the replies being like, that's not what's happening right here. Like, this is necessary, okay? Publicly shame her into changing her mind on this.
Then bringing up my past struggle with addiction.
Move you off this site and into... I don't want to bring up the substance abuse.
So that pretty much confirmed to me that Vaush doesn't actually care about advocating for trans people and just uses trans rights as a pretext to act like a fucking dingus.
I'm curious what Dane even thinks about ContraPoints. Frankly, even though I do not like the way that ContraPoints have been going in the recent years, I do understand it to a certain degree with the atmosphere we're going with, why she's taken the particular approaches that she is currently. She's still more of a moderate and sane person than any of the people you put up on the screen wanted to talk about this. Of course, she probably wouldn't talk about this sort of stuff, just JK Rowling and other certain issues concerning the trans community.
And I mean, look, I let it slip one day a couple of weeks ago. I'm surprised nobody called me on it. It slipped on stream because I was really pissed about something, and it was just, so it's not even like completely, massaged out of my vocabulary. But worse than that, though, the thing that I really have a problem with is this fucking MCU takes nuclear bad.
I commented on a video about Vaush's horrible takes on Samus on a different video, and even one of his fans who came to the video agreed that Vaush's media takes are horrible because he has an agenda to push. He doesn't care about actual media. He cares about what the media is propagating and how it values his side. I'm wondering if Dane, Actual Fandom, falls into this camp. I'm almost happy to hear that he does not wholeheartedly endorse Vaush's media opinions just based on their alignment politically.
They hate to see a black king winning, or a bling as it's known. That's actually kind of funny. Not only is he black, but he's getting like the literal apex of white Aryan elf pussy. God damn, he looks good. He's gorgeous. Yeah, he's fucking gorgeous. Yeah, no, they're equally attractive. Oh man, yeah, it took like no time at all.
Where's hold on. Where's Aragorn?
Where is he standing behind you?
I'm not seeing Eric. Yeah, is this like a Where's Waldo?
How do people listen to this, dude? It's like there are so many people. It's like it's uncomfortable. Like not uncomfortable listening to like racist. It is racist.
You want me to tell you the truth? How do I listen to it? You think I might go through these streams and like, just comb for stuff to talk about, right? Nope. I just wait until somebody posts it on Twitter. Because I really like the people that do that, by the way. Hats off to them. You make this possible for me because I would not be able to just comb through their content to find shit.
Problem 1. Echo chamber inside an echo chamber. Now, does Dane, after finding these clips, verify the context around them or just assume the people he's following on Twitter and find these clips from are doing it in good faith, honest reasons for actually doing this? Dane himself admitted he doesn't watch much YouTube unless it's this content. And that just shows willingly being ignorant about the subject matter he tries to claim to have some expertise on. I might have my faults in looking through people's content, but if I want to actually use a clip that I found and try to make a claim about it in general, a solid claim like these people are fascist, racist, transphobic, which I don't actually do. I want to get to the meat of the matter. I will fact check and verify the context within the clip that I am using. This is just lazy methodology. He's being spoon-fed clips from most likely people on the left or have a bias against these people to color his vision about, in this case, Friday Night Tights. And if they want to consider this racist, fine. I don't agree with them. Call it a joke. They don't think Aragorn should be portrayed as black. Personally, I don't give a rat's ass, but if they want to make jokes about him possibly being in the background, not racist in my book, I would have to see the context. Them seeing this, both Vaush and Dane, seeing this as just racism itself without the context around that shows pretty much the ignorance of the subject matter and, frankly, the laziness of both these content creators.
Well, looking at this, which is a clip I've never seen before, and I don't know if this is new or not, I doubt it, because they're talking about something that sort of blew up a couple of weeks ago, but just how casually racist is all their other stuff?
What other stuff?
Well, all their other content, they do one of these once a week or twice a week, I don't know, however often they do these live.
I think there's one on Chuds and Bigots channel too. That's like Tuesday night.
So yeah, just the sort of casual everyday racism, I guess.
Okay, you're just claiming and assuming it's racism. Why? Are you going to explain your reasons why this is racist? Just because they're making fun of Wizards of the Coast, making most likely described as a white person in the Lord of the Rings historical books, and them race swapping. That is automatically racist. Are you not going to actually investigate why Wizards of the Coast decided to make this change to this card? As critics, they're not allowed to judge the race swapping that is rather rampant. And in this case, doesn't make actually any sense. Are they thinking the card will make minorities who play Magic the Gathering get into the game or get aside it? That would be their logic. They get representation. I don't know the context around why they're laughing at this, and neither does any of these people. So to claim it's racist, just casual racism, shows that anything, no matter the context, criticizing a choice to race swap is automatic racism in their book, when I really think I need to know the source. These people are willingly ignorant to not actually look into the intent or the context around this clip, but to carry on with your ignorance.
Well, and so, yeah, he commented on how he didn't expect it to be so soon, right? And that's kind of the point of why I'm covering Vaush, covering this, because what he doesn't realize is they have gone fucking harder in the last, I mean, I could probably look back and see that it's just been a gradual increase, but it's just, man, pretty much from Alex Jones the first time to a few weeks ago with Gavin McInnes, they've just hit the gas on I was about to mix my metaphors and say, taking, the mask off, but yeah, they're mask off, man. They don't give a fuck. And I'm not sure if it's because they're...
Does Dane not realize the Samuel Jackson joke that this thumbnail is portraying? Okay, obviously he thinks jokes are racist. Same as Dane. Gray Poupon pretty much covered Bob covering this issue that jokes can be racist.
So when she tells a tweet like that, though, let me ask you, what do you think is possibly the intent? What is the joke behind that?
So it's an edgy stripper name. Like, again, I don't want to say what her intent is. I don't know. Like, all I did is saw that tweet on your screen. I don't know if there's like any follow-ups where she said why she said it or anything. But again, she's a comedian. I'm pretty sure it's just an edgy joke. I personally love roast comedy, which is some of the edgiest, some of the darkest jokes out there. They're very hateful. I don't think that is actually somebody's real intention out there. I don't think that anyone, I'll put it this way, I don't think a comedian is out there telling you their deepest, darkest secrets in every joke. I think some jokes are just jokes.
I would hope not. But okay, so what's the punchline in saying my stripper name is Sandy Hook?
Again, it's shock factor. It's somewhat subversive. It isn't what you'd associate with a traditional stripper's name.
Disney's little fucking motherfucking mermaid. Definitely a Samuel L. Jackson joke about the race swap of Ariel in The Little Mermaid. Something I really don't give a damn because all of freaking Disney live action films have been rather crappy overall as movies on their own and compared to their animated counterparts. Again, they are taking this as evidence of racism and they're not looking any deeper. They're not given the context. This is obviously a Samuel L. Jackson joke. So I don't know what to say about these two. Well, Dane edited this video and is sort of leading the charge on this. No clue who Ryan is, but Dane is the one I'm covering here.
If it's because they're just kind of feeling bulletproof.
None of them are really thinking about what they're saying or thinking about. They're just trying to edge each other.
Yeah,
but I mean, well, yeah, because that's what you do when you're a teenager, and
that's where they're stuck. Yeah,
100%. And there's nothing wrong with
actually, we know that not all of them are. That's the thing. We know that not all of them are. That some of them, at least a couple of them, there's plenty of evidence that Jeremy Griggs and plenty of evidence that Eric July are not as goddamn childish and stupid as they portray themselves now.
The reason you aren't taken seriously is because of your behavior in situations that pertain to Star Wars from top to bottom. Now, look, I don't love everything Star Wars. I'm not a big fan of Rebels. I didn't like Rogue One that much. But do I constantly want...
Frankly, Dane should not be including this clip. He should not be making this argument because clearly he's being serious. There are points where people are being serious and where they're joking. Give me a point where something that they're doing that you're calling racism or calling a joke. Friday Night Tights is a podcast. A lot of it is crap in general. Even the best podcasts have better moments than other. Someone tells a joke, everyone laughs. Might not be content for everyone, but you would actually need to watch it and not just fish for clips from people who think the same exact way as you. Can't confirm that. You would have to give me sources on these clips that you find on Twitter. And you self-admit you don't even watch YouTube very much unless you're looking at a particular video. So you blinders are just so self-evident here. If I want to make a claim for the littlest things, I don't deal with this race-based bullshit and calling people racist, calling people dishonest. Yeah, I will do that sometimes. Dane's gonna get stuck in this bubble of just pandering to people who want to hear, yeah, Friday Night Tights, critical drinker, EFAP, all just racist. We don't have to prove it. This joke I found on Twitter is racist because I say so. I don't know the context, but racism. Come on, Go with sexism a little bit. Transphobia. Don't want to get into that because definitely ContraPoints called out Vaush for both those things.
And they're pushing identity politics with this. They 100% are. And this is the only reason Diego Luna is the lead character of the series, because they're trying to push their diversity bullshit.
There's evidence of them being more nuanced, more considered with their opinions. Even if they still had, bad or whatever opinions, they've definitely kind of just whittled their perspective, their tone, and their takes down to just hit the algorithm and hit these.
Again, he's just making assumptions. He's saying they had bad opinions before and they're getting worse now. Seems like Actual Fandom is starting with the conclusion and working back to confirm his personal theory about these people. I could do a whole breakdown on why I don't agree with them, and I would not have to call them a single racist or sexist to do so. But Dane just wants to take the lazy approach from most of the content that I've seen. Sure, I don't watch all his videos, but I've seen enough of his content, his attitude, to know generally every time I do watch that he is like this. If anyone who watches him and watches my video want to recommend a video where he really gets into a deep critique down there in the comments, please do. I will cover that when I do a follow-up on both Bob and Dane.
Get people excited in the negative, I guess, about what they're saying. And look, if Vaush ends up seeing this, I want to point out. Well, first of all, if Vaush ends up seeing this, you should watch the mission statement. It's called "These Fans Are Actually Political Predators." It's on my channel. Thumbnail says "Actual Groomers," and it's got several of their faces. Very good video, if I can say so.
Oh, very good video, if you say so about your own freaking video yourself. The mark of modesty. Very good video. When you're pretty much just insulting them by co-opting their own insult for the left. The left had racist, sexist, transphobic, and general bigot overall. Right to groomer for many different reasons, and it's inaccurately put, but the left can't let the right have anything to help them. Dane's dumb just by co-opting the anti-SJW style of brain dead content. Why not actually understand why that's effective for their audiences and why it might pull some of the more edgy dirtbag left people, maybe even some of the edgier center people on the fence over to your side like Vaush. So this is probably why Dane likes Vaush, because he takes the down and dirty approach and no bad tactics, only bad targets.
Mainly because I worked on it with Organized Chaos and Turf Nation. And in that, there's a clip of Ryan Kinnell, who was at Universal Studios, and he sees a Simpsons-related statue or whatever, and he's like,
They have a memorial to George Floyd.
And then in the video with him is Alex Stein, who is an employee of Blaze TV, and they're buddies. They were like, that seems like they were on just like a leisure trip together.
Legitimately got work to do.
And a whole bunch of guilt by association. I will admit, that joke was pretty damn and bad taste, and that definitely is a sign of very edgy humor. But it was humor. You might want to call it a dog whistle. I'll meet you halfway and say maybe, maybe not. But still, guilt by association is a strong part of these people's methodology. You can condemn if you find one racist person. Now, you could be a non-racist person and still associate with a racist person. These people think you need to condemn them and cut them off. Some people, like Derek Davis, the black guy who converted plenty of KKK members by being a black man and talking to them and helping change their mind. Personally, I agree with trying to talk to these people with bigoted and stupid ideas, because frankly, real racism, not joke racism, which is edgy, sometimes it's hard to tell the distinction between people who use it seriously and whatnot, but you can use this humor and you can explain logically. There's two modes, more than two modes. Typically, you'll get more serious discussions and you'll get humor. There is a muddled area where it gets mixed, and I can understand why people get confused by that. Sometimes it's hard unless you know the creator to know when they're joking and when they're not. And that's an optical problem for a lot of people on the internet. The guilt by association with that sort of poisons the well for these guys. Maybe they need a disclaimer. When you're joking, put the joke. signal, and when you're being serious, just leave it off. Because they seem willingly obtuse on when people are making jokes.
Like tanking on one movie, that's not enough. There's power in the customers, but customers have to have some sort of awareness, self-awareness, as far as what you maybe contribute to this. Can you replace that Disney thing that you rely on to have a good time with something else? I think you can.
A lot of times they'd have Eric July on here, who is also an employee of Blaze TV.
And just because he's an employee of Blaze TV, he's trying to say something about Eric July. I don't know what. What are you trying to say by that? What's wrong with Blaze? Yeah, they're conservative. Oh yeah, all conservatives are fascists. You bite into that freaking Vaush talking point and a lot of the leftist extremist rhetoric to demonize everyone, even centrists and more moderate left-leaning people, as being part of the problem. Us versus them.
Man, I wish they would really cover it more of like the intentional, because it's like, yeah, he realizes that it's this content that will trap people, pull them to the right, but does he realize that they know that and that's what they're doing intentionally, right? That's literally the point of it. Maybe they didn't all start out doing that as the point, but it is now. And I'm relatively sure there's some kind of funding going on. Stands to reason that Blaze TV would be part of it.
Again, just baseless speculation and treating it as if it's fact. I could be completely wrong. Dane could be completely non-serious here, but frankly, I'm thinking he's being serious and being a dumbass on top of it because he doesn't think he needs to explain why these things are true that he's just making claims on or speculating. I made faults on that, but I try to clearly earmark where I think it is, why I don't think these guys do. They treat their opinions as if they're true, and they don't need to back it up with any serious clarification. Us versus them mentality, I guess.
Oh yeah, I think I do remember seeing that somewhere. There you go. Yeah.
Well, the guys
are connected to the biggest freaking, culture warlords, on the right. And it's like, for the longest time, I was under the mistaken kind of, I guess, assumption that they just are doing their thing that's separate and whatnot. And it's like, of course, in hindsight, they're as fucking connected as they are.
Why do you assume they're connected? You can't think that one creator will use another creator to boost their social media presence. That they don't have to agree totally with that creator's perspective on the world, because all you leftists are hive mind. That's what I'm getting from this. People are individuals. We're not a group. We come together and try to find common ground to talk on. Obviously, your common ground is much smaller than people closer to the center and right. I don't agree with everyone on the center, and I disagree with most of the people more on the right. I'll agree with most people on the moderate left than I do with any of those two groups as a whole, except for the far left, which I think is just bonkers for the most part. But the same goes for the far right, which is just as bonkers, maybe worse in most cases, but they're in the less vocal minority, at least in where I actually hang out, because most of them are banned in off platforms that I use. So maybe there is a large right presence, but I don't think it's on YouTube or Twitter.
Well, the guy he's talking about now does the left can't meme, so not that these channels are political.
No, they're not. They're not political or anything, right?
No, they're definitely not political. They just happen to associate with a lot of political figures who are.
And you guys are definitely not political. Just admit you're partisans. They loosely align with the right. I will agree. Most of the people in the Friday Night Tights crew loosely associates with the right, while you're in freaking bed trying to get hardcore leftists like Vaush and a whole bunch of other much less effective idiots into your little culture war. Yeah, Friday Night Tights had Alex Jones on a while ago. He was sort of a meme. Did they talk about politics? Did you look into what they even talked about? Same with Gavin McInnes. Did you look at what they talked about in that? No. Just guilt by association, just by having him on and letting him speak. People on the right tend to respect free speech more than you people on the left. And even if they disagree, they will generally hear people out much better than you and not just jump to the racist bigot card.
Which is just coincidence.
Just coincidence. The fact that Alex Stein was at a recent rally that was, what was it? It was a speaking engagement that the Proud Boys were supposed to be at. Gavin McInnes was supposed to speak at a college. And then the college students, of course, protested it. And then the Proud Boys came in with Gavin McInnes and started a bunch of shit. And Alex Stein was there. He's very obviously just a shit stirrer. And
are you going to actually talk besides that one clip, is there anything else Vaush is going to cover or you're going to cover to actually condemn these people as racist? But they're already racist. Now let's just see what racist buddies and what racist association and what racist other stuff. Seriously, I do not know who falls for this type of argumentation. This is clearly almost entirely guilt by association with a little bit of out of context clip to give it some credibility, I guess. I mean, this whole almost half-hour video is very telling if this is all you're going to have. Maybe there's more.
Antagonist of, trying to create a situation where the Proud Boys can be violent, you know what I mean? But he's also buddies with these guys. Like, they're all part of the same fucking organism. We really need to, like, my goal, and I think the initiatives in general, and all of you watching, your goal should be to try and get people to see them as they're not just some fucking, toxic fans, right? Like, they're definitely toxic.
I gotta say, like, from an image perspective, eight mediocre-looking white nerds complaining as this, like, gorgeous fucking, I say Black King, literal Black King, because this is after he's been crowned, right? Just standing here with his hot elf pussy in hand. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah, it is funny. The problem is that it reaches people, man. Like, Vaush has talked a lot about how there's this gap on the left where people aren't, willing to or trying to reach, young white men who are susceptible to, stuff like Andrew Tate, right? Jordan Peterson, that type of shit.
Okay. Saying Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson in the same sentiment is just batshit crazy. Do these people really have no clue how far removed those two people are from each other? Ideology, methodology, anything. Well, since I doubt I'm going to get anything from Dane.
Jordan Peterson's take on the manosphere. So, you see that, knowing what you know about Jordan Peterson, he may surprise you a little bit here. It doesn't sort of fit with the general view of Peterson and where he fits in the manosphere.
Yeah. So you have to have that in your mind. And they're not, you cannot be angry at women. It's stupid. Women? It's like women being angry at men. It's a sign of psychological trouble.
Damn. So this is sort of like flaming Andrew Tate and his ilk without bringing up Andrew Tate. And again, this might be before he even knew who Andrew Tate was.
Not really anybody on the left that's, kind of offering the positive alternative. Not that there should be a direct alternative. I don't want to get canceled from people fucking taking something out of it, because I did see that shit. That's crazy. That's kind of the problem, is this content reaches those people. When you don't have any, when you're especially young people, they don't have any beliefs developed already in a lot of cases. They just kind of glom on to what seems popular or what, gets a laugh or whatever the hell. It's really easy to just, catch them with this type of thing. And this is now what they think.
Again, I will be here all day if I call out just Dane throwing out assumptions without any evidence to back it up. Okay, it's his opinion. I vehemently disagree that he's severely underestimating the individuality of the youth today. But he wants to just assume they're all dumb. I'll assume they're dumber than most people, but I don't think all of them are that dumb.
I now think that this is somehow fucking terrible. And it's by the way, this is all white replacement theory shit. It's all literally just an extension of that within fandom shit.
This is literally race swapping of a traditionally white character. This could actually support, you're actually feeding into the delusion of white replacement. These woke ideas is what feeds into white replacement. You got the extremists on the left trying to push diversity where it's traditionally more white. I don't agree with that culturally, and I don't think they should make such a big deal about it. They should be like, I don't care. It's a magic card. No reason to make a big deal out of it. Stupid, woke. I won't buy it with my money. Okay? Not complain about it, but freedom of speech. I respect it. Dane thinks it's very telling that, and then he's associated with white replacement. His idea of associating race swapping with the great replacement is actually adding fuel to the fire. Someone watches this who doesn't agree. It's like, yeah, maybe race swapping, great replacement. They are trying to replace me. This is fucking optically dumb to try to make this argument here, saying you see it in the media. You see the replacement of white people, and young white people can't be misled. You're just going to shame them into thinking the great replacement isn't real because you say so, and that it's associated with the fucking Wizards of the Coast who's just virtue signaling. They have been for a long time. Trying to get that ESG score. I don't know what other people are yelling about. I think the benefit of ESG score is vastly outweighed in things like this. I think people just buy into some of this woke bullshit because they think it's good marketing. They can always be like, oh, those people are bigots. I don't know what's with this. Maybe it is for the ESG score. Maybe it's for their own thinking of multiculturalism that America has cultivated over the last 200 years. People want to say we're a white patriarchy, but I think culturally we have done a good job of accepting people of different voices, different perspectives into our country. We have problems because of it. Diversity is not a strength in itself. It's a strength if you can be a diverse country and still be successful like the U.S. has. We've had our problems, but because of rational minds pushing forward, we have overcome this. And it's the left who are pushing racial politics, identity politics, along with the far right that is much more divisive and causing more trouble. Why can't we all just get along?
You know, there are people say that they're replacing white characters and whatnot. And it's like, so you're just doing the great replacement shit. Okay, gotcha.
Why is Dane actually making this argument in this case when they are literally replacing white characters, a lot of redheads to boot, which is always weird to me, and just Stitches, supposedly. But yeah, I guess they have no souls. Who cares about what race they are? This is just such a stupid point by Dane. Okay, I'm done.
There's pretty much a version within fandoms of every one of the shitty, racist, xenophobic, bigoted, sexist takes that the right has generally. There's a version of it.
Okay, is this just gonna be buzzword, word salad, pop quiz time? And how's his partner in crime, this guy I have no clue about, gonna respond to all this? How's Vaush gonna respond? Even though they're watching the video. Guys are worse than every frame of Paul's. They did like 2 scenes from Vaush.
But in this content, and it's not by accident, you know?
Do videos like this still get views? 66K, I guess. There are actually only like a couple of ultra far right YouTube like nerd channels anymore, I think. A lot of the YouTube nerd channels have kind of broken off into being just general like politics far right channels like the Quartering. There are a couple that maintain like the pretense of being engaged.
The Quartering is far right? No, the Quartering is just, he's right. Yeah. Vaush is right about the Quartering being right, but he's milquetoast, bottom of the barrel right, with some of the most brain dead takes. They're not even far right. They're just stupid. Ugh. Well, at least it's not no bullshit level. That was bordering on the far right. You could say that's far right. But the Quartering, just stupid. Not far right, although, yeah, I understand why leftists want to throw him in there, because he's incredibly stupid. Casting him with actual far right and just not dumb rightoids is a smart move.
Nerd culture. The funny thing with the Quartering was original.
I mean, what does he mean by a couple is what I want to know. Because, like, yeah, I guess there's fewer, but there's still plenty, right?
You know what I think this is? I think this is probably the YouTube algorithm. Because of the sort of stuff he covers, I'm sure the suggestions that he gets is a lot of politics.
True. I'm trying to think of a way that we can kind of like just run through a list of them real quick. I know.
This is from a place of not actually having much to do with these sectors. A, because he doesn't generally watch that many films and TV shows that they cover, but also because he tends to, I mean, I don't even know how much YouTube content he watches.
And that's how he answers. He just makes a blind assumption based off of no evidence.
If he's not watching their content, he's probably getting suggestions of political right-wingers, people like the Daily Wire, that sort of, and the Blaze. And so from his perspective, he probably thinks there are only a couple of these people like the Quartering who have made it big, because that's still in his orbit. He remembers them when the Quartering got big, sees a lot of people talking about it, because he has transitioned from nerd culture to pretty much full-on political tomfoolery in his case.
Yep. Vaush, because I know you're watching right now, this is a list of, and you know, you can check my channel, Organized Chaos, Turf Nation. We've been covering these things to varying degrees for, you know, myself for over 3 years, Turf Nation for almost, I guess, a couple years now. I'm not sure. Organized Chaos got into it within the last year or so, but we cover it pretty extensively. So here's a list of channels, and if I see one in this list that is more overtly political, I will not name that one. So this is, fitting the description he just said, or opposite of what he said, because he said that became more political, general political channels. These are going to be channels that focus on media primarily and frame themselves as media, critics, reviewers, and so on. And yet, the things that they are conveying repeatedly, the ideas that they are pushing, are pretty obviously, if you know what you're looking for, right wing, in some cases far right rhetoric. So Friday Night Tights is the Friday show that all of these guys that he's watching in this video are, generally on. There's a few, I guess, seats that kind of people come and go depending on what show it is. Critical Drinker has over 1 million subscribers. I think he's probably the biggest one.
They keep pushing this label on Critical Drinker. It is so fucking stupid to me. He talks about the message. He's vaguely on the right, but he's definitely center right. Even calling him right wing is a bit of a stretch. Does Dane really have the stupid idea in his head all anti-SJW channels are all far right or even right in general? Plenty of them have shown themselves to be left-leaning. There's even a comment earlier, Vaush's mistake about peeing with shoe on head just because she was anti-SJW and anti-woke for the most part, but she's on the left. You have Chris Reagan, who's really just non-political now, big Gamergate guy, but still Critical Drinker. Oh, God, shows these guys bias just because he talks about woke in the message. Anyone who hates identity politics or even dislikes it to a certain degree will admit to a certain degree that it's annoying. But that's the far left, and obviously Dane, anyone who's not on the far left and with the woke conspiracy theory that is just made up and they just use it as a buzzword like they've been pushing recently, they're all rightoids, even if they're slightly left, center, or right or far right. Conflating all those people together is one of the ways you can just paint a broad brush. I don't think they've done a sufficient enough job to paint a lot of these people. And that's just sad.
And his stuff is a little bit less overt, but it's very much, kind of framed in they're trying to destroy masculinity kind of thing. And he lies a lot in order to make the point that, movies are like getting rid of strong men and so on. RK Outpost, that dude is like, a bad day away from just Sieg Heiling, I think. He's really, really fucking cringe and really, really, really racist. Geeks and Gamers, that's D-Day Cobra that's on screen there. He's one of the, seems like, kind of ringleaders, so to speak. Him and Nerdrotic, I think, are the general figureheads, I guess. Nerdrotic, by the way, has worked on PragerU content. I don't know how extensive that relationship is, if it was just a one-off or not, but it's happened at least once that I saw. Heel versus Babyface, he's just kind of a dipshit, but he's always around. And Black Garrett, I've literally never watched any of his content. Then there's the Quartering. Yeah, he's got branched out some for sure. So then you got Josiah Rises, who, the guy that attacked Nancy Pelosi's husband, he was just an avowed fan of all these guys, really. But like specifically, he had posted several Josiah Rises videos, and then like along with some racist.
Again, with the serious poison in the well and guilt by association. Like how people try to paint PewDiePie radicalized the New Zealand mosque shooter. I don't even know how solid this evidence is.
It's freaking screed and about, commie woke Hollywood or whatever. And once again, they had Gavin McInnes on Friday Night Tights a few weeks ago. It really should be all you need to say.
No, it's not the only thing you should say. What's wrong with Gavin McInnes?
Dane has no idea what that was. And to, even for me, I don't really know exactly why they brought him on in the first place. But you can tell right by the thumbnail, and this is probably the edited version. Yeah, it's a Nerdrotic Live. So they may have edited the original one, but I mean, it's mocking, right? And during the whole time that Gavin McInnes was there, Gavin McInnes was criticizing nerd culture. He was saying that it's for boys, men grow out of this, they're all man babies. He was extremely negative and extremely derogatory towards the whole group, and they were pushing back on it the whole time, telling him how wrong he was. And when Gavin McInnes left, it was like he pulled a stunt that theoretically could have nuked Nerdrotic's main channel. It could have, I mean, he theoretically could have like appealed for it to be brought back, you know, saying he would delete the video or censor the video or whatever. But I mean, that it was that bad, right? And there's no way that Gary would risk that his main channel, his main source of income, for a joke on somebody he doesn't care about, someone that he disagrees with, someone that he thinks has the wrong perspective. So it's just ridiculous. About drawing, you know, this would be like me drawing a link between Dane and Sitch and Adam because they talked once, right? The whole time that they were there, they were disagreeing with him, or they disagreed with each other, right? So this is the same thing. It's that they were disagreeing with Gavin McInnes the whole time. And then anytime he comes up, they make fun of him. But it did strike me as kind of odd. I don't understand why he was there in the first place. I haven't heard an explanation of that. That is weird.
He left the Proud Boys. What has Gavin actually done? No answers, no evidence. Well, sorry, very shoddily thin, mostly guilt by association evidence, but you do you, Dane. I keep remembering, no bad tactics, only bad targets. I'm sure you would agree with Vaush on that. And it's only the extremists on the right that's the problem, and the extremists on the left are just perfectly fine, even if they want to demonize the entire other side. Not saying the right who demonizes everyone on the left, like that lunatic who attacked Nancy Pelosi's husband, isn't just as big a dipshit as the leftoids on the right, like the trans shooter recently. But bringing that up would not be suited to what message you're trying to put out there. I wouldn't blame the left for that individual. Dane here is willing to put at least partial blame of the radicalization of this guy who attacked Nancy Pelosi's husband on these guys. And that is just beyond the pale, in my opinion.
Gavin McInnes, they've had Alex Jones on twice, and they just let them spew whatever the hell they're going to say.
Clip, please. Okay, what did they spew? Did you watch?
Especially Alex Jones is the one that I've watched the whole thing, the first one, I believe. And I mean, he was doing COVID denial, you know, talking about the woke globalists or whatever the hell. And they're just like, yeah.
Clip, please. Okay, you're not sure. Alex Jones is a meme. The water's turned the damn frogs gay. Even people on the left meme that shit. Okay, he is funny. If you take him, anything he says, well, I'm sure there's some things he says that has a grain of truth, but taking him anywhat seriously and not just an outrageous media figure. Can you prove that? You don't think that's what they were doing? You think they were just pushing his propaganda? Show us a clip of that.
Melanie Mack, we need to look into her. She's gotten kind of popular, I guess, recently. I'm seeing a lot more from her, but she's definitely talking about media and doing groomer posting and stuff like that.
So we need to look into her, and she's doing grooming posting, but you yourself use that term for them. Okay, you're just as guilty as her. You might be doing it ironically. She could be doing it ironically. I don't know. I don't care. But your concern is that she's becoming popular and she's associated with this people. So obviously, guilt by association automatically, just like Grey Poupon brought up in his debate with Bob or Organized Chaos.
Then there's Alex Stein. We mentioned him earlier. He's not, he's more overtly political, but like we said, he is directly, in league with at least a couple of these guys. And that's just the fandom menace. Then there's Comicsgate. They're less popular. There's less views going on, I think, with these guys, but it's all generally the same thing. In fact, Ethan Van Sciver, the figurehead of Comicsgate, was a co-founder of the Fandom Menace, which I didn't learn until recently. And it seems like around the time that the Zack Snyder burn happened, he kind of separated a bit.
Just a quick thing before we get started. I know that on our donation page, we still have the Geeks and Gamers logo. I just want to say that I really, we talked about this, and we're really not affiliated with Geeks and Gamers as far as I'm concerned. How could this happen to me?
Ethan Van Sciver was just on Tim Pool the other day.
A lot of strange women. I hate to put it this way. Sorry, ladies. A lot of strange women kind of suddenly showed up in the comic book.
You mean Tim Pool, co-founder of Vice News? famous right-wing left-wing journalist. I mean, this is just getting ridiculous. He's just throwing out names, throwing out associations, not establishing anything solid about that, except for they're vaguely on the right. They're right supported in Tim Pool's case. He's definitely has become more of a figurehead for the disenfranchised left, who are leaning strongly to the right now.
Business, and basically came at us with this criticism that this was clearly a boys' club. It was unsafe for women, and everything that you guys are putting out is sexist, and it's racist, and it's homophobic. And, well, we're going to fix that. If you hire us, and you should hire us, we're going to fix that, because if you don't hire us, you're sexist. So suddenly all of these women show up, and they start basically making changes to this sort of male-dominated hobby.
A couple weeks ago, talking about, how these crazy, strange women are coming into comic books and, making it so you can't draw women sexy no more.
That was not even the argument in the clip. You should have. I hate it when people are both dishonest and stupid about how much they put in. If you're going to be dishonest, cut the clip sooner. Cut it when they just brought a whole bunch of women in and speak for him. Don't actually put it out making changes and then try to put words in his mouth that weren't there. Maybe he makes it later, but you should have actually shown that clip longer if he made the argument about not making women sexy. But now, can't even do this sort of bullshit right and put out crap like this video. And this is probably one of the better videos I can find from Dane where he makes a coherent argument. Again, if there's one where if there is any of his fans and he has a video where he makes solid proof that could convince someone who's in the center like me that these people are in fact bigots, please give the title of that video. I'm skeptical motherfucker about people on the left and right, okay? I believe nothing. I'm skeptical of everything the right says, left says. I'm skeptical of a lot of centrists that I talk to, because they might not really be centrist. They could be closeted rightoids or leftoids. But that's besides the point.
Problem in and of itself. He's, a employee of the Blaze. He likes to downplay that, but he is an employee of the Blaze. His fucking face is on a poster in the lobby of Blaze TV on the wall, along with the Duck Dynasty guy and Glenn Beck and Alex Stein. Then there's other, I guess, kind of tangential ones that I think Vaush knows who Adam Friend and Sitch are, for sure. He's been on there. And I'm sure the same thing happened with him that happens with pretty much anybody they invite on that's on the left. They bombard you with bad faith fucking claims and attacks and make you defend positions that aren't your positions.
Oh, such bullshit. Going after centrists.
And so, like, when I think of lines of communication, I don't know if it can or should be any different other than just being entertaining,
Well, I didn't mean to throw Professor Flowers on the bus just before that.
No, it's fine. I just, every time she comes up, it's always bad.
I invited her on the show, and she actually was very nice to me in DMs, responded to me after the blow up with Vaush. We wanted to have her on because I felt like they're completely miscommunicating. So I just don't want my comment about her to be misconstrued. So
right. No, I don't think you meant any malice. That's going back to, something I said last time I was here.
Right.
And kind of like up to an extent what I'm getting at now.
Right.
Go ahead, Stitch.
Well, I just want to say, like obviously, yeah, there's entertainment value in, doing political content and having these conversations. That's what necessitates a lot of these conversations in the first place. Adam always says that if we had one viewer, he would still talk to me for 8 hours on Sundays. I would talk to Adam for 8 hours on Sundays if we had one viewer, as much as I love Adam. But to me, I think it is important to try to not necessarily convince people of anything, but it's just to be like, listen, we are human beings that are operating under, moral principles that, we're operating under our own moral principles and philosophies. It's not like there's just all these evil people out there who all have this intention, in my opinion, to destroy everyone or destroy you. And I feel like because when you came in here, and I know you're sort of memeing, but you're sort of not, and you're kind of talking about how like the Republican Party is basically the philosophies they want to like murder poor people and they want to murder trans people. Like to me,
let's get it. Can we get into?
Well, let me just say, to me, it's like I don't think you understand what the philosophy that they're operating from if that's how you view their intention.
And you just assume it's bad faith. Did you do anything to prove that they're bad faith? Anything at all? Have you deconstructed, or did you just simply throw out bad faith arguments, positions that aren't yours.
And then, then whenever you push back any kind of successfully, they just basically start yelling at you, call you bad faith, and then, call you a groomer and shit. So yeah, it's a problem, man. There's a lot of them.
I think that might have been Adam, and to be fair, you called him racist, but he admitted to sexism. Why didn't you just go with the sexism? Okay, he admitted to it, and I'll have to double check that. I could be wrong.
Get pretty decent views pretty consistently. I don't think they're generally as popular as they were, but they're still doing damage.
I think another reason they probably stayed off Vaush's radar is because they don't debate. They don't back up their ideas against any sort of opposition to those ideas. They just propagandize.
What do you think Vaush does nowadays? Have you not been watching Vaush recently? I don't even watch Vaush that much, and I know he does not actually do real debates. Won't debate Destiny. He won't come on Stitch and Adam. Who does he fucking debate nowadays? Please tell me.
So they aren't in his orbit, but they're in plenty of other people's orbits, and those people who are interested in positive fandom.
You were going to say actual fandom, weren't you? Yeah.
Of course he wouldn't say that. You're calling them chuds. You have adopted the anti-SJW tactics for your branding because Dane somehow thinks he can pull off doing what Vaush does. As much as I dislike what Vaush does, he is a very talented rhetorician. Sorry, Vaush is going to laugh at this video if he even bothers to watch it, which he probably won't, but maybe he might find something here. I'm not seeing it.
Yes, I do think Tim Pool knows exactly what he's doing. I used to be a lot more on the fence about that, to be honest. But it's in the last year that I've really decided what side of the fence I'm on. In most cases, I really used to just be like, until I have some evidence, I don't know if they're just stupid or dishonest. You know what I mean?
I was with Actual Fandom there for a while, but after that Eliza Blue stuff, I don't think Tim really knows what he's doing. He's growing too fast and too popular. Audience capture is a thing, but you know what? You need an audience for you to be captured.
There's no way to know. And you see patterns enough, and you see, I'd have to really sit down and think about what has over time pushed me over the fence. But definitely tend to think that they know what they're doing.
Again, the patterns of behavior. Andrew Clark.
Melanie Mack, we need to look into her. She's gotten kind of popular, I guess, recently. I'm seeing a lot more from her, but she's definitely talking about media and doing groomer.
Well, okay. As far as the groomer stuff goes, I mean, you don't engage with what they're talking about. You just say, they're targeting people on the left, therefore it's bad. And they're on the right, therefore they're bad. Again, Dane has such a low resolution view of what's going on that any correctness is on accident. So I don't know exactly what he would say specifically about anything Melanie Mack has said, but and maybe I would disagree with Melanie Mack. Who knows? But again, Dane is not paying attention to any of this.
Even Grey Poupon, to a certain extent, are sort of challenging that idea of the sort of patterns of behavior, Actual Fandom, and organized chaos, and basically the whole mantra behind the Phantom Initiative are sort of going through.
And it's a numbers game. I think the reason it's hard for people like us to think that how could they really know what they're doing? How could they do that? Is because, we're not terrible people, and we don't.
Oh, you don't think you're terrible people. You assume you're the moral people, the good people. And that assumption is really going to cost you. Even Vaush does not try to claim to be a good person. And I think that's why he has some respect even by people who disagree. He's an aggressive asshole who knows what he wants. He believes that his rhetoric and his tactics will produce a good result for the people who follow it and for himself at the very least. He doesn't even claim to be a good person. He just claims he's fighting against worse people. So that's a better stance for Actual Fandom to actually take and not take the fucking moralist high ground.
Like, for example, I call Eric July stupid. I've said that a lot. He's not. He knows what he's doing. It's just a complete, lack of morality, really.
And it's close enough to the end that I think I'm done with this. Lack of morality. No, a different set of moral principles is the better term for it. He thinks he has different values than you. You cannot. Actual Fandom is showing a clear disregard at the end of this for valuing different opinions. And again, ignorance. Maybe Actual Fandom Dane here does not realize he's even using bad tactics. Maybe he thinks they're justified tactics to turn the tables on the dirty rightoids. It's sad that this is the most telling video that I've been able to find in this sort of thing. Now, I don't know how far some of the other people who are looking at Actual Fandom and Organized Chaos and any of the other members of the Fandom Initiative are going to take. I'm trying to see how they critique or look at their own side. And even when Vaush covered the Phantom Menace, he has almost no criticism for that particular. He's just like, oh, Vaush, come here. You covered this? Here's more targets for you. Go after them, please. Oh, give me a shout out also. Almost sounds like he is trying to do this weaselly freaking little power play, and he's just too dumb to know how actually use it. So he's just gathering as many influential people that he thinks will align with his goals and can be groomed to his point. No, I'm not going to go the groomer route. That is a little bit lazy. I hope the Actual Fandom Initiative gets smarter and better with their sort of tackling of these anti-SJWs, what they consider rightoids, with some better arguments, because this is just frankly sad shit here. Guilt by association, assuming racism based on the smallest amount of evidence, not even checking the context, not seriously understanding if something's joke or not, because it doesn't matter if they were jokingly saying something, it's racist, because they're not comedians. Even though a lot of people find a lot of their content funny. You can be funny, amusing, and also informative to a certain degree. With that said, I'm done.